How is that omelette going? You know, the one we spoke about yesterday where you cracked open the eggs of potential and you're going to use what's inside of them to make a beautiful omelette. I think that today, the Tuesday tickler, my omelette was started this morning when I set the tone for the day. I did something I don't usually do. I got up early to go into a networking meeting. I don't usually do that because my mornings are usually kept for bringing myself into the space so I could be mindfully eating my breakfast, reading articles that pique my interest just to get my brain going, feeding the birds, which grounds me, gets me into myself first thing before I even start any of what I've just mentioned. And I had asked for it to be a particularly good day. I'd said to myself, well, none of this asking. I said, today will be a good day. Because, you know, there's a cougar at the bottom of my bed that says it will be because she said so. So why shouldn't I say so? And you know what? Turned out to be a bit of a cracker. And this is just so far. We're not even 3/4 of the way through yet. It's brilliant. So I'm going to tell you what's been tickling me today. I had a lovely conversation towards the end of the networking meeting this morning. We were having a bit of a laugh. We were talking about the Facebook algorithms and how they're squeezing us organically as far as our posting is concerned. But we had a little bit of a laugh with some of their Instagram funny face things that go on, the little icons that you can put on. So that was okay. Then we had lunch. And I had to get ready for a meeting at 2 o'clock. This is a meeting of someone that I've barely met in person once. And she's a biologist. But we particularly bonded over her talk when we met the last time, a couple of years ago. And then met again recently. And she's known as the monkey lady because her talk is all about monkeys and their behaviour. So of course, well, sign me up. I'm all there with my hat on. There's nothing stopping me from listening to this talk, for sure. So we agreed to have a one-to-one. And I have just indulged myself in having a natter about animals that was so satisfying and so enjoyable, and I am so thankful for that because it really woke me up. It really tickled all those places, like the inspirational places where there are so many things that happened with working with animals that can be brought forward and used to show different things in speaking terms, like how you can miss an elephant in a room when you're in the same room with it and not see it coming when it knocks you down a moat. How you can misjudge someone because you heard about their behaviour from someone else, but then you do something that tickles their memories of what they wanted to do, and everything changes. How we notice that there are people around us that we don't even get to see past the surface. But if we had a chat one-to-one, oh my goodness, what we can find. And even although we're in lockdown, even although we're being curtailed, our freedoms, our usual things that we would want to do if we could, we're not supposed to. Well, that was the other thing that tickled me today. I was sitting here with the Thief of Time, Facebook, getting ready to actually come and do my live, and I was looking at the different things and thinking about what I was going to say, which doesn't take long because it's usually really off the cuff. Leslie goes into the background, and the person who's going to really do the talking and knows what they're talking about comes forward. My sovereign self, my shamanic self, my stressless self. So she comes and takes over. And today both of us are having a go. So you got 2 for 1 today. No, I was getting ready to do this, and I got a little message bing bong, which usually I hate. Don't like machines telling me what to do and when to do it, or how often I should be doing it. Don't like it at all. So I looked at on the top of the thing, and there's this, you have a message from, and I recognised the name, and I thought, oh my goodness, I haven't had a message from him for absolutely ages. I wonder where he is, because this was a message from our guide from when we went to Mt Kailash. And every so often he just drops me a wee message to say, how are you, namaste. And today he sent me some pictures too, because he's on a trek with a wee group. Well, it's a couple. So he's there, and he's up this mountain in the Himalaya, or Himalaya, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And it's so clear. It's so sharp. You can almost, when you breathe in, feel the air hitting the back of your throat and opening up your lungs. It's so high. You can almost see the tip of what might be Everest. I don't think it is, but it could be, because he sent me one of those before. He does do taking people up to Mount Everest. And I've only seen the top of it from an aeroplane window, personally. But that was actually quite amazing too. This wee thing poking up the top of the clouds. It tickles me. And it also makes me reminisce. And it makes me realise that I did a really interesting thing in 2019. I did something that I never thought I would do. I was able to do something that I'd been holding on to for a long time, in the hope that was my egg of potential. In the hope that this egg would crack and the bird that was inside would fly, stretch its wings and take me with it. And it did. And I'm reminded of that today. And isn't it wonderful how the universe will actually bring stuff into your conscious awareness and maybe inspire someone who's going to be able to do that for you, to send you a wee note just off the cuff, because they felt like it and they were thinking about you. And that tickles your heart a little bit. Do you not think so? That someone who's that far away, and I can tell you the Himalaya from here is very far away, but from here it's right here now, and it's right here now. And I'm thinking it's rushing back, this total rush of memories, a tsunami of memories, of feelings, of smells and sounds, and thinking, do I really want to eat that? It's breakfast time. Why would you eat that at breakfast time? They do strange things like that. They don't have breakfast, dinner and tea. They just have food. And it's just a mindset, really. But it's an interesting mindset. But even through all of that, it's a case of looking at things and saying, I went up somewhere like that. I breathed that air. My whole being was part of that at one point. And in some way, still is. So there's a potential for me to return there at one point. There's a little thing inside me that says, yeah, you could do that. You've been before, you could go again. Why not? Well, there are obvious reasons why not at the moment. But it's not always going to be that way. I had a dream once. Oh, and crikey, yes, I'm always having dreams. I'm dreaming all the time. But I had a dream, and in this dream I was dressed in interesting clothing. It wasn't normal Western clothing. It wasn't even clothing like what I'm wearing now. There was a turban style headdress thing and wraparound and very kind of layered clothing because it was cold where I was. It has been noted, not just by me, that when I do dream and when I journey sometimes, a lot of it's in the cold. I think I must have spent a lot of lives in the northern hemispheres or very high up, because there's usually snow, ice and a big wind chill factor. Well, this is possibly why I want to live in the south of France. Maybe I've had enough of that. However, maybe the universe has decided that maybe, perhaps, I haven't quite learned all the lessons I have to learn from being cold yet. In this dream also there was a snow leopard. And of course one of the best places to find a snow leopard is in the Himalaya. So I have a snow leopard as a power animal. And she's a saucy little girl. She likes to tell me off. She likes to give me challenges. And I can feel that tail of hers flicking. Isn't it time you took up a challenge? Isn't it time you moved? Isn't it time you did something again that was outside of your comfort zone, outside of your familiarity zone? Isn't it time to look forward and actually match the step with that looking? Now, how do you think you would feel about that if you were getting that feeling and you were in this situation where there were reasons for you to be still, reasons for you to be not so much in isolation, because really we're not in isolation because we can still talk to one another, we can still converse. We can't hug one another. Well, we can if we want to, if we want to go for it. And we're in a bubble, we can still hug and do that. We can't exactly do what we would normally do if we were, say, living in France, which would be the kiss on either cheek and the embrace. But those days are not gone. They're just in hiatus at the moment. But when you see pictures like I saw today of mountain ranges and villagers going about their thing, these little villages slacked into the side of a mountain that's all stony and there's no grasses really, there's a little bit of green here and there. It's barren, but it's not. There's a majestic beauty to it, and there's a harsh way of life that is recognisable as being almost subsistence survival. And there's the idea that they're up there on that mountain and they don't see a lot of strangers. And that's a bit like where we are at the moment. We might not be up a mountain, but we're not seeing many strangers. So when we think about what we can do about that potential, those eggs of potential, how we can make the difference between where we are and where we're going by doing something in the now, and now, and now, and now. Because that's how often you get the chance. Every now. Why don't you have a tickle at your opportunities? Just have a little tickle and say, you're gonna laugh for me? You're gonna show me with your smile? What makes you smile? What makes you think, I did that and I can do it again? Even if it's been years ago, there's always a way to do something that has potential and to bring it into being and make it your own. I wonder what you'll do with that today. See you tomorrow.